So I'm getting ready to link these two cabinets back up, and I've never seen anybody make a video on Blast City versus kits. When I built mine, I Frankensteined it together. It really shouldn't be as complicated as it was, but a lot of people, even the people taking these components out of cabinets to later sell them, don't really know what all is essential and what all goes together. So you can end up with a bunch of extra pieces, you can end up missing pieces. I'm just going to go down the list while I link these two cabinets, show everybody kind of what's essential and what you need. It's actually not as complicated as a lot of things in this hobby can be. I'll go over each of the components, where they plug in, what they're supposed to do, what they're for. Hopefully you'll walk away from this having a pretty clear idea of what the Blast City versus kit is and how to build one yourself out of the different parts, what to know is essential, what's not. And then I'll install it, and you can see that too. So this is a Blast City versus kit. Looks kind of complicated, really not. I wish mine had come like this. It would have been so much easier to figure out exactly what I needed to do with it, but this is not what it came with. I actually had to build this out of two separate Yahoo Auctions Japan listings. One of them included a bunch of this stuff, and then not some of the other things, and then the other one didn't include the amp. As you'll see, I actually have like a bunch of extra components. One of the listings came with a full Blast City JAMA harness and a Sega JAMA like Blast City IO. So I mean, yeah, so much more complicated of a process than it needed to be, but you guys will benefit from my struggles in that regard, and I'll make this super simple. So this piece right here is actually the most important part of the entire Blast City versus kit. This is the amp board that makes it possible to output picture on both cabinets. So this board makes it possible to put, to display an image on both tube monitors. So the dangly part right here is actually for power. So that the master cabinet, you will plug this into the JAMA harness. Basically has like a thing. I'll show you guys where it goes. But that's power. That will power this entire amp board. And then obviously these are both VGA out. And so that's VGA out for one cabinet, VGA out for the other cabinet. And then the picture actually comes in off of JAMA off of this. So I'll show you where that goes to. But this is actually also picture, but this is JAMA picture. So JAMA video comes in through here. VGA picture comes out off both these sides, and then I'll show you how those go to each of the monitors. So each of these guys right here with all the cords that come out of the back of them, each of these represent one cabinet. So when you're linking them, these are the two cabinets. These face outward, and then they plug in to these, which connect the cabinets together. So this plugs out outwards. Each one of these has cords in there that plug into them. The smaller one is VGA. The bigger one is like some scuzzy shit. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's some like, 20th century technology. But yeah, these face inward, these face outward. On the outside, these connect these ports to one another. And then on the master side, you plug this in to the amp board. This connects to the amp board. Picture comes in through here. This plugs into the IO, and I'll show you where that plugs in as well. So just before we go over there, just in like isolation in a vacuum, I'll show you how these plug in. There you go. So that's what the port looks like when each cord is plugged into it. And then this actually can secure on top of it, and it kind of like looks like that. I think normally it's supposed to point downward, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. That's not the essential part. I mean, if you want it to all be flush, I'm sure you'll get it all flush. But these are where the cords go. So that's what it looks like mounted to the back of the cabinet. You'll see my Naomi 2 right here. There's actually room for the wire for my Raspberry Pi to come through. And yeah, it's all mounted up right there. Nice and simple, just 2 little screws, hold it right there into the wall of the cabinet. And now I'll show you where these plug in. So you see that long one there on, it's like the second to farthest left on the Blast City IO. That's where it will plug in. This will plug right into there. It'll go in super easy. As you can see, it's plugged in there, no big deal. Next, I will show you where the video plugs in, the JAMA video, of course. So here I have the amp board, and there's the video cable right there behind it, and that plugs into the top. So video's plugged in. This one is actually super simple. You actually find this right here, which is on the JAMA harness, and that is power. So the amp board now has power and video coming into it from the IO, and then we will send the split video signals. So I'm not doing this cabinet solo anymore, so I will unplug this, and that will go into the amp board, this one right here, which leads all the way up to the monitor. So this is the local video, and then this one over here will plug in to be sent out to the other cabinet. So when I was a kid, I thought hot rodding was so fucking stupid. I thought those old cars was so fucking dumb. And now I just realize every one of my hobbies is just hot rodding. So as you can see on the second cabinet, you do just the same thing. So the big exception being that this time this goes all the way up straight into the monitor, instead of needing a second cable for connecting to the amp board. Now we connect them on the outside. So the outside kind of just mirrors what's going on the inside. And then this thing is supposed to like cap it off, but I'm not gonna bother securing it because I'm a lazy slob. But I think most of you at home will probably want to, just because you give a shit. But you can screw, it goes right up there, it lines up, you screw it in there, and that will just sit in place on the outside of the cabinet. It actually looks pretty fresh, looks pretty dope when it's, you know, secured. One last thing I wanted to point out about using a Versus kit: if you're using something like Naomi that is VGA, you can't just run VGA out of the board. Usually when I am running Naomi in a cabinet, if it's a single cabinet, I just run VGA out of the board straight up into the monitor. But yeah, if you're using a VS kit, you gotta turn that VGA signal into a JAMA signal, so that you can get it through the splitter, and then the splitter will turn it back into VGA to go into one monitor and then back over to the other one. So yep, that's how that works. So no idea if I've made that clear at all, like how this works or what you need for your Versus kit. But yeah, sound off in the comments. Let me know if how I explain this in any capacity is like landing in a helpful way. And yeah, good luck.